But I'm going to tell y'all this. I grew up on that farm and everything like that. But when it came time for my grandma to cook, I remember I used to be like, is that our chickens or did you go to the store? I did not want to eat our chickens, our hogs.
As if it mattered.
I guess I just want to eat other folks' animals, right?
Like, I don't want no domestics.
Yeah. So one time she tricked me, babe. She was like, I got that from the store. And then she started laughing after I started eating. And I was so pissed off. I was so pissed off because I was eating a little birdie. You know, like,
and once you name them, you are not allowed to eat them. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Sip and Share. Sip and share. Sip and share. Sip and share. Let's go.
Sip and share. Sip and share.
Sip it.
Sip and share. Added some runs in there.
That's that. You got to get that octave. You didn't quite reach that octave you were trying to get. But hey, A for effort. A for effort.
Hey, have you ever seen this thing on The Simpsons? Somebody sent it to us.
I know what you're talking about.
I mean, hey, y'all, it's true.
Yeah.
You know, it's Black History Month.
It is.
This is another one of our episodes. We'll tell you the topic in a minute, but there's this episode on The Simpsons where they're at a game and there's a black guy who's singing the national anthem and there's a clock behind him. And I'm going to make this up, but it starts at like 7 o'clock and then the sun goes down and then it gets darker and darker and then it ends like about 7:45 because he's like, oh, say
he was hitting those runs. He was hitting those runs. Everybody in the audience was like dozing off.
Hey, African American singers, we love our runs, but you know, man, y'all can do it. Y'all can do it. I'm trying.
Absolutely.
But y'all can do it.
Yeah, I don't think you should try that.
So what's going on today, baby? What we got to drink in our cups?
Let me tell you something, man. It is time to start the day off with something warm,
something I like,
delicious, and can also get your adrenaline rolling.
The best part of waking up.
It definitely ain't Folgers.
Yeah, it's not Folgers.
I ain't drinking no Folgers now, but I am drinking some coffee, and not too good for Folgers. I just prefer not to drink it. I'm drinking Starbucks. Is it Pike's Place? Keurig
no
style.
No Folgers. Gotta have a Brita. And gotta have Starbucks.
Starbucks is made with the Keurig, with some silk almond milk. Creamer. And I prefer raw sugar instead of the, regular old sugar. Okay. What you drinking?
So I'm drinking the absolute same thing. My husband made these, y'all. So we're going to, I've been taking him through these taste tests, getting him ready for the Pentagon when he go and make the coffee. Mine is the absolute same, but I have a sweetener, not a zero sweetener, something else.
Yeah, Budget bought her sweetener. It's store brand. So it might not be as good.
Whatever.
It's literally called sweetener.
Us as women, a lot of times we can't just take raw sugar. We got to get a stevia. We got to get something different, for some reason, everything just want to stick to us. Yep. So we do a little different, but
that tastes pretty good. I'm about to run out of coffee. So
baby, it's hot too.
Starbucks, I'm going to need you to sponsor.
Baby, it is
lifetime,
hot today.
Lifetime
it is
supply.
Hot today. So today, because this is the last Saturday's episode for Black History Month, we want to talk to you about, or our subject today is growing up Black.
Growing up Black. It's
growing up Black.
Yeah, opportunity
so
to talk
as
about
you can
stuff.
see, we are both melanated. We are both 100% African Americans.
That's right.
Of course, we have various indigenous groups that we might belong to. My husband has an ancestry episode that he shared what groups he belongs to. Both of us, we were born and raised in the South, in the state of Georgia.
Whoop, whoop, go Dogs.
Town,
back to back.
Right. So both of us were born and raised in the same small town where everybody knew everybody. There's one main street. There weren't many. There still aren't very many red lights. But I tell you what, my hometown got a Starbucks now. They got a Chick-fil-A now.
Ooh.
So they got the Walmart.
Ooh.
You know, that came about when we were ending high school.
We didn't have that when I was there.
But so we grew up from humble beginnings and just close-knit community. And the only reason I'm sharing that part with you, so as we're talking about growing up Black from our perspective, just so you know the setting of where we're growing up, right?
Right.
So, you know, we've had various shows like Black-ish, and they've been able to take the comparison of what it looks like to grow up, to be in a Black family versus in even like a Black family in a predominantly Caucasian neighborhood. The fight towards their jobs and what they had to do and the things they overcame. They even had their parents in the show to try to give you that generational divide and just the things that were going on per generation. It's a very good show. I hate it ended it. I'm adding the details.
You adding the stuff that the extra letters like I do.
I need more coffee. I need more coffee.
It ended it.
He's rubbing off on me.
That means it really came to a close.
Well, so that show was very good. And for some of you that are not African American, a lot of what they were saying resonated with African American people. And it's a lot of things that we experienced. So just coming from our perspective, we're just going to share some things growing up Black that will invite you into our culture and just how we talk, things that we went through, how we grew up, and where we stand today. So, babe.
Yep.
In your let's start about 2 years old.
2 years old.
What were you doing? Where were you? You know, like kind of just what was your day like? Like whatever. Let's start toddler. I won't say 2.
I was gonna say I don't know anybody that can remember what they was doing at 2. If you can,
I think I do.
You remember what you was doing at 2 years old?
Because one of the things in African American culture is telling your stories. And so my grandma, she would tell me a lot about like how I grew up because she was one of my main caretakers. And so she would remind me, remember when this, remember when that, and some things, I still have little pictures of.
Okay.
So I mean that's a big part. Now that is a big part of African American culture. We might have not been in the history books, but by oral history, that is how we kept things alive for our culture.
Yeah. You know, as you were talking, I was literally trying to run back in my brain, my memory bank, to see how far back my memory could go. And I can probably go back to maybe pre-kindergarten. I think that's as far back as my memory can go. I just remember my aunts being around, walking to the store. And honestly, I call it gossip, but it's not gossip in a negative way. When I used to walk with my mom and my aunts to the store or anywhere else, I just remember them catching up on all the things that were happening. All the things that were happening with so-and-so, or somebody passed away, or if somebody, did something great. It was, I think we can perceive it as gossip sometimes, but in this case, it was really them catching up and kind of going over exactly what they had been experiencing, the things that they had seen in their life. That's like the most vivid memory I remember, because as being at that time the youngest that was around, my older brother would be in school, so I would be the one following my aunts and my mom around. And I can just remember going into stores and just kind of seeing things and only seeing things, not necessarily buying things. A lot of window shopping and things like that. I also remember being so excited. I know this is going to sound strange, but being so excited to go stand in the lines to go get, some government cheese or some of that, food that they used to hand out to the less privileged and things like that. Weird enough, that was kind of an exciting memory for me, because it's like we're getting some food. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So for me, as I mentioned before, you guys may have heard, well, maybe I'm not said it on here. I was raised between grandmoms. And what I mean by that is I spent time at my mother's house. I lived there. And then sometimes I would go and stay at my father's mother's house. And the earlier years, my mom and dad were married. They stayed with my grandmom to start. So, and they were very young. So my grandmom would be with me quite a bit, doing a lot of things. And I remember, now this sounds silly, they lived on a little farm. And I remember the distinct smell of the outhouse. I don't know what I was doing. Why would I remember the outhouse? I guess I used to play around
Trust
it
me,
or something.
I know that smell.
I don't know. And for those of you who don't know, an outhouse is an outdoor bathroom. There was no plumbing or whatever.
Nope.
So it's kind of like a
it's like a wooden shed.
Porta potty.
Yeah, it's the
like
early version of a porta potty.
But it's like wood.
Made out of wood, and there's just a hole. And your business goes down in the hole.
Yeah, we might have had a bucket or something.
Well, you probably had actual toilet paper too.
Yeah,
we had newspaper.
Yeah,
so you can read and take care of your business at the same time.
Anywho, and I also remember, the pigs, the hogs.
Yep. Same.
I remember the chickens, and that's why I told you I'm gonna get me a chicken because my grandmama told me how to feed them and stuff. So
the way these eggs costing, you might need to get one.
Chicks, I used to think they was my little babies and stuff and everything. And it's so funny, y'all, because now I probably would rarely hold an animal other than a puppy. Like I grew up around all of that, and now I'm kind of scared. I don't know if I would hold a chicken.
You abandoned the chickins.
Yeah, but I used to feed the chickens. I used to be her little seed person when we would be in the garden because I was short, little, and so what's that? Was she abusing me? I was doing all that work.
Child labor.
Child labor, man. But so I used to drop the seeds and everything like that. And then we transitioned from that farm into more what was called a modern home with indoor plumbing, and they still kept the garden. And I still remember my granddad killing hogs in this big cauldron, almost like a witch's thing. It used to smell so good.
You just jarred quite a few memories for me. Because I also remember, the pigs and the gardens. I can also remember helping my grandmother go through and drop the seeds in the holes after my grandfather had actually, gone through with the plow. You said so much. You didn't leave me anything.
I was sharing my experience. You just shared that you went walking with your aunts. I mean, this was my experience. Now you want to piggyback.
In my mind, I'm like, check. I don't got nothing to talk about. So anyway, my grandfather would go through with the plow and make the little rows in the garden, and then in turn, again, I had no idea what I was doing at the time, but it's a good memory now. In turn, go through and drop the seeds in the holes that my grandfather had created. I also remember slop. So slop would be a bucket. If you can imagine a big, I guess the 5-gallon paint buckets now, where we would take all of our scraps that we didn't eat, which wasn't much, but all of the stuff that was left over, and it would all get dumped into this bucket. And for some reason, it just literally became a big sloppy mess. And when I would be at my grandma, it looked like vomit. Yeah. When I would be at my grandma's house, I can remember, man, that's probably why I'm so strong. I can remember taking that bucket. It was my job, but now either I volunteered to take that big bucket and go pour it in the pig troughs for the pigs to eat that slop, which ultimately we had leftover food. We turned it into a bucket of slop. We fed that slop to the pig. And then later we ate the pig. Because I would also later see my grandfather kill the pigs. And I was so fascinated at the time. And
he was like,
this is too graphic. I ain't gonna go into details. But watching him slaughter the pigs, and then in turn we eat that pig, and then leftovers again, and it's a constant cycle, right? That was a good memory.
Yeah. So I think a lot. So, you sharing that, it reminds me that, back in the day, these were the late 70s, early 80s for us. There was still a lot of farming, gardening, harvesting your own food. There was still a lot of, hunting and killing your meat, the deer, the pigs.
The well water, getting well water. You didn't?
No, we had a well, like the well like people have when you don't have city water. I don't remember a well. No. I don't know, but because they didn't have indoor plumbing in the first house, so I'll have to ask
we know Kitty had a well.
Like where the water came from. But Well, she may have had indoor plumbing in that farm, but not a bathroom. I can't remember. But at any rate, so, that was the beginning of our childhood, and things started, like I said, started to modernize. We moved into a home where there was the plumbing and the bathroom. And on the other hand, my other grandmom, they were able to acquire some land and place a trailer on there. And it was enough room to have 3 trailers at one point. That's how much land that they had. And that was a big thing for African Americans. They saw the importance of land. Land, right?
Yep.
And I don't know, maybe we still have that same point of view.
Sure.
But it was like, this is our piece of the pie.
Which where did that come from? Moving on up. The Jeffersons, which brings that's a perfect transition.
Moving on up.
Because as time went on and I got a little older and I was a little more cognizant of what was going on around me. And this is when cable TV really became a thing, man. I can actually remember some of the great shows that you would get so excited for. And there was no recording, no DVR.
Whoa. You're skipping a lot, Boo Bear, because cable TV, we didn't have that for a long time. It was 6, 26, 12.
You're right.
And it was the turn the dial.
You're right about that.
And it was the black and white TVs.
You're right.
And it was straighten up the antenna, put aluminum foil
on the antenna. You're right. I jumped ahead. Let me take a step back. I can also remember, I'm going to get back to the Jeffersons here in a minute, but I also remember the knob, the turning to 612. It was 24 or something like
26,
that. 26. 6, 12, and 26 were like the channels. And I can remember going outside and having to turn the antenna. You turn and they're like, wait, right there. Wait, a little bit more. Trying to get the channel to come in clear. But once we finally got a clear channel, you didn't have much of an option of what you were going to watch.
No. We watched a lot of Wheel of Fortune.
Yep.
What's that other one? Price is Right.
Yep.
Soap opera, My Stories. That's what my grandma used to call My Stories.
I got to watch My Stories.
News.
Stories are soap operas.
Yeah.
Translation.
We watched a lot of news. And it was just a lot of black and white. And I can remember as a kid, and, I don't think growing up black, a lot of things, because we're just kids, the curiosities and the things that we experience, I think, go across all ethnicities and races. I used to be like, how are those people in there? Like, are they behind? like they're behind the box?
No kidding. My grandfather, he used to love watching Superman. I think it was Saturdays it would come on, not the cartoon, like the Superman. And he, no kidding, thought that he was doing that stuff in real life.
Man.
My grandma used to be like, that's not real. And he was like, yeah, it was real.
Have you ever watched a movie from back in our day? You see the graphics of what they tried to do, and you're like, they just standing up there. They just doing this. And it's so funny how far we've come with, like, the Superman of back then to the Superman of now. Freddy Krueger of back then to like if he had one now.
We should save that stuff for a movie, episode. But yeah, so the TV shows like the Jeffersons or something like that, when we would finally start to see African Americans on television, it was very fascinating for us because it gave us something to look forward to, some excitement, and seeing, the George Jefferson and his wife Weezy, being portrayed as wealthy, on television. I know it was exciting for me, and to be able to see that. And then probably going to fast forward a little too much, but are watching certain TV shows that depicted African American families that were just really well off and doing well. Yeah. I think that was something pretty fascinating, a good memory that I remember from my culture.
Yeah. So I have to give credit where credit is due. There is actually a Caucasian man behind the creation of the Jeffersons. I think he also did Good Times. He did quite a few
Different Strokes.
And Different Strokes. I know Different Strokes. I know Jeffersons. I can't remember if Good Times was included, but it might have been Sanford and Son.
Sanford and Son, I think as well.
But he was responsible for a lot of those shows. So sometimes people don't have to look like us to give us an opportunity to be present and to be a representation. But that was very important for African Americans growing up black. It was very important to start seeing people who look like us on TV, because I know people might be like, well, why? A show is a show, but it presents this opportunity that I can do that. I can be that. Or
Sure.
someone's out there like me. You know, like I said, we were in a small town. So it gave us an outlook in the African American culture in other places.
Right.
You know, whether it was, you know, portrayed in a comedy type style, it still gave us some insight, some hope,
Yep.
something to look forward to, you know. And you know, there were other shows we watched as well that did not have people who look like us, but you know, it just feels heartwarming. And you know, I'm very grateful for that guy. I can't remember his name. For him,
we'll have to look it up, and
setting up those shows and doing that, you know.
Yeah, another angle I want to kind of touch on a little bit, because I look at your amazing shirt there with the afro and you know, it says black is beautiful and all that other stuff, and I'm looking at your amazing hair. Your hair looks good on camera. Pat it up a little bit. Let them know, you know, rocking the hair.
That's me, y'all. It ain't no little fake puff.
That ain't,
I ain't got none of my Amazon things today, y'all.
Talk to me about fashion, hair, whatever, the transition that you can remember getting your hair done growing up. I can just talk very quickly to kind of get your memory going. The different hairstyles and haircuts, man, I had them all. I had the high right, you know, when it gets slanted to the right, the shag. I had the just the even Steven, which means just low all over, you know, the soup bowl, taking a bowl and pretty much putting it on your head and cutting around it. You know, I had a little teeny weeny, what we call it, TWA, teeny weeny afro, and then braiding it back. I've had all of that. You know, my hair is red by nature. You can't really tell. But tell me about your transition with fashion, hair, and all that growing up.
What is Tracy Ellis Ross has a series, I believe, a limited series. I think it's on network, and it talks about hair, African American hair, and it portrays or it goes deeper into the stories, because our hair, it is a symbol of our roots.
Right.
It really is. And I'm so proud that a lot of us are stepping into acknowledging our roots and displaying our roots, because you know, back in the day, if my hair would have been like this, I would have thought I'm having a bad hair day. But now I'm like, this is my hair. I've accepted. So I had to come along a journey. So growing up Black, I did have to come along a journey to acceptance of the coarseness of my hair, the type of curl of my hair, you know, those type of things, and how to just work with it and manage it, because it takes a lot of work for African American hair. I recall one of my aunts was very skilled at doing hair. So she would do my hair a lot of times, and my hair was very long, y'all. Like, I mean, like down here. There's this thing in the Bible, Samson, his hair was his power. So that was something that was, I remember, an underlying tone. Your hair is your power.
Right.
And I still believe that my hair is my power. My hair kind of sets the mood for how I want to go out. It give me my swag a little bit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like if I got her, I call my hair Florida, because after Florida Evans and Good Times. But if Florida
the hair has
is
a
like,
pronoun, guys.
If Florida is like this, she makes me want to wear, you know, more urban, street. You know what I'm saying?
Urban street.
And then when Florida gets braids or something like that, I kind of give myself a Caribbean style.
Okay.
But going back to it, growing up, one of my aunts was very talented at hair. I remember her straightening my hair. I remember getting my hair straightened. My grandma would do it too with a hot comb. You put it on the stove. You put that thing on the stove, and then you come, and you got some grease on your hair too, and then it goes.
It's literally a hot comb. They call it a hot comb for a reason.
And boy, if it get too close to your head, Lord.
So imagine, for those that may not necessarily be aware of what we're talking about, take a comb made of metal, place it on heat,
a heat source,
and then you take it and you comb through, and you have literally millimeters between your scalp and your earlobe or the top.
Because if you didn't get close enough to the scalp, this part would still be curly, and then this would be straight.
Yep.
I also remember her sitting me down with a pot of hot water and a brush, and she would, you know, like slick it up, kind of how I'm doing now. She used to have me styling, boy, with the little ponytail. So I used to have the twist with the little barrettes and the little ribbons, and it was just so much. And now that I think about it, you know, and those were like precious times, because you would sit. It takes a while also to do African American hair.
I was just going to ask you
quality time.
I was just going to ask you
with those people.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. You know, was it quality time?
Quality.
was it quality time, and was it also torture? Because I can remember two words that were always said. Be still.
Yeah.
Be still. You know, you got a super hot comb going across your scalp, close to your ear, and be still. Was it torture?
Yeah. Well, the hot comb, y'all probably bring a hot comb in front of me now. I'll be like this, right?
PTSD.
The hot comb was like that, but the styling of the hair, I was very much into like my hair. I used to go to the hairdresser like every week. She know who she is. I used to go like every Friday. I walked into her beauty shop one day and somebody said, "Oh, your hair's so pretty," thinking I had just got it done. I was there to get it redone.
Ooh.
Like, that's how much I was like up on my hair.
Okay.
I was very much a person who was a fashionista and making sure my hair was straight and like could not one piece be out of place for me, right? And that was just me. Like, that was my swag, I guess.
Swag in a bag.
And a lot of that came from the music culture, the music scene that was going on at the time.
Good transition right there.
Yeah. So, I said my hair was very, very long. Well, T-Boz, my hair got this short.
the hair and the music and the fashion, I think it was all intertwined.
Oh yeah.
Coming up in the Black culture, coming up, you had hip hop music on the scene. You had Run DMC and all the stuff that really kind of got us going. I think, in my opinion, when we were growing up, music really drove the fashion and the hairstyles, right? Because we would be trying to emulate what we would see or hear on the radio, see on TV, hear on the radio. And ultimately, that's where you started getting the parts. They're called parts. When you see a line in your hair. And
that's when the high right actually was during that time for the high right.
Yep. The hair right, Bobby Brown, My Prerogative, Don't Be Cruel, that kind of thing. Whether you transition from regular old jeans, Wranglers, to the MC Hammer pants, right?
Yeah.
I know everybody remembers the MC
Hammer.
I
remember Wranglers being popular.
Well, I didn't say they were popular. I just said you transitioned from them. I didn't say I had some Wranglers. I still got Wranglers today, matter of fact.
Oh,
you bought me some. So one of the things that I think brought all
of everybody that they weren't gonna see the label, baby.
Wrangler.
So we talked about the black and white TV with the 3 channels. And we used to have these floor models. Like, literally, when I say floor model, it was this big old thing, and when it used to go out, you just placed another TV on top of it.
The TV stack.
So we ultimately grew to the point where cable became a thing, right? And so it allowed us to start seeing more. So this became, I remember it was TGIF and it was Family Matters.
Yeah.
And I think Cosby Show might have been Thursday nights. And then we started to see different types of representation of Black people on television. And then through MTV at the beginning, then there were people who started to pierce that scene. And then we had BET. And we started to have things. Donnie Simpson.
Oh, Donnie Simpson. Yeah.
So then we started to see those videos, and we saw the TLCs with the baggy clothes. Y'all couldn't tell me I wasn't T-Boz.
We've been talking about TLC pretty much the whole episode.
I'm just saying, like, they were a very big part of the African American culture.
Yeah, I agree.
Boys to Men with the suspenders,
ABC,
and the sweaters,
DVD,
and
jerseys, crisscross.
So I'm just wearing
clothes backwards, all that.
That was a big part, at least for my middle to high school era. Right. That was a big part of my culture. Like, I woke up to those songs just to get in a mood. I remember, I mean, it goes back to even when you're driving in your car. So that music and those people were so prevalent because they were driving everything.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Like everything. That's why I'm bringing it back to that, because they drove a lot. Like, I know my persona, like, from the hair, from the clothes, from me just driving around when I finally got a car, like, in the mood that I got put in, it was from living through the realities of what I saw on TV.
Yep.
It was very much that. So I just wanted to just acknowledge that just a slight bit more, just a tad bit more, because it was, I mean, for me, that was a biggie.
Yeah.
That was a biggie. If it wasn't for cable, I might still be wearing my farm clothes or something.
Well, they all come back. It all comes back full circle. All the stuff we just talked about has come back at least 2 or 3 times since we've been alive on this earth. So while it may have been cool then, and it became uncool, and then it became cool again, all of that stuff I think it just comes back full circle, from the fashion style, from the shoes, that the haircuts, all of it is just coming back full circle. So just kind of walking through my life growing up Black. We talked about the television, we talked about the fashion and the haircuts. It's a good time to reflect. It's good memories, and that's what I think of.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, we were in a small town, and we were in Georgia. And I know some of you might be out there saying, well, what about anything race related? So I don't want to ignore that piece at all. But this is what I have to say about that. Growing up Black in a small town in Georgia, I, as a child, was sheltered from that. And you're talking to somebody who actually was in classes, because I was in a lot of the gifted courses, and a lot of times it was like a handful of us. Like, I literally can name, it was either 4 of us in the class, and then for math, it was like 1 more of us. And this is out of like 30 students, right? And then when you get to the certain clubs, the beta clubs and different things like that, I didn't see a lot of people who looked like me. Saw them at the school, but during my school day, for me, I didn't get to communicate with a lot of those people, especially from like sometime around middle school, because that's when they started to track, and through high school. And I will say this, like, I didn't blatantly experience any type of racism. As a matter of fact, I could talk to other people that didn't look like me, went over their houses to do certain projects. And I will say this, as an African-American growing up Black, there were some teachers that pulled me out of the ranks of things that were not the best for me sometimes, that didn't look like me either. And so I just wanted to take that time to acknowledge that, for me, I will say this, for me growing up Black, probably because I was more of a nerdy kind of a person or something like that. I wasn't really necessarily with the cool kids. It was very awkward, because I was like known, but I was like an unknown.
The known unknown.
The known unknown.
Or the unknown known.
That's how I felt. And I still, like, to this day, we talk about feeling, where's your fit? I still don't know that we're still on this journey of finding our fit. So we're still growing up Black, finding our fit. Right.
No, I think that's good. I will concur. And before we wrap up here, and just say, when you talked about reaching across the aisle, I actually probably concur with you. Either I was really oblivious to the racial tensions growing up where we grew up and how we grew up, or I just ignored them. I don't know. I really don't know, because I can't recall either being isolated, singled out because of my race. I don't recall at that age, being discriminated against or anything like that either. In fact, some of the teachers that I had along the way, they actually went out of their way to do special things for me, actually, probably just based on, how I was living at that time. But I concur. I posted something just the other day, and I said, hey, when you're being fed, it doesn't always matter the color of the hand holding the spoon, right? So sometimes you're going to have people that look out for you that just don't look like you, and sometimes they will. But be willing to reach across the aisle, and be willing to receive someone trying to reach across the aisle as well.
Yeah. So I would say, as we conclude, growing up Black, it brings a smile to my face.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't say, I will say we are resting on the shoulders of our ancestors, and growing up Black for them may have been way different to afford us the opportunity to grow up Black the way that we did. And so I say that I'm able to look back on my growing up Black experience and smile and laugh and be reinvigorated to continue to promote my culture in a positive way, to continue to promote my culture in rooms where people look like me and where people don't.
That's right.
So yeah, with that, babe.
Hey, it's time for the kiss the Black History Month kiss. Oh. So this one's got to be extra special. We try to keep it PG on here. I know some of our nephews and stuff. Some of our nephews might find this and be like, "Oh, I saw y'all kissing." So we try to keep it pretty clean. Until next time, guys, we appreciate it. Sip and share. Sip, sip, and share. Let's go.
Sip and share. Sip and share.
Cut. Like that Homer Simpson somebody please cut.